In Michigan, a trial is beginning for a woman charged in connection to a 7-year-old bringing a gun into a Grand Rapids public school. Last month, a student brought a gun that belongs to his mom's fiancé, Chelsea Berkeley, to Cesar Chavez Elementary. The boy's mother, African-American Aubrey Wilson, is facing 4th-degree child abuse, and Berkeley is facing a felony firearm charge, which carries a 5-year sentence if convicted. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
In Glendale, an injury accident working now on the 134 West at San Fernando Road. Traffic is heavy there from the Glendale Freeway. You have a work zone on the 101 northbound at Laurel Canyon with the right lane closed. Traffic's heavy there approaching from Hollywood Way. Heavy traffic on the 405 southbound drive starting at Burbank Boulevard. Stay slow down to Getty Center, and 405 north is slow from the 105 to the 10.
Nearly 3,000 teen drivers die in car crashes each year. Tire Rack Street Survival is designed to save lives. The one-day hands-on driving school gives teens experience in car control through exercises that include emergency braking and skid recovery. Find a class near you at TireRack.com/survive.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers get 7 shutout innings from Clayton Kershaw to beat the Angels in Anaheim. First shutout win for the Dodgers since June 10th in Philadelphia. LeBron's younger son, Bryce, is transferring from Sierra Canyon High School to Campbell Hall in Studio City. The 16-year-old Bryce will be a junior in the fall. He's 6'6" and already showing star potential. LeBron's oldest son, Bronny, will be a freshman at USC in the fall. Here's something from the downright delusional department. People close to Memphis Grizzlies star John Morant told an NBA writer that the NBA and the media are out to get Morant. Morant was given a 25-game suspension at the start of next season for conduct detrimental to the league, including flashing a handgun in 2 social media videos. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
I'm Tavis Smiley. That's Charlie Wilson. We have been delighted all 3 hours of our program today to play some of the best of Charlie Wilson. Why? Because June is Black Music Month, and every day during the month of June we feature a different artist all 3 hours of our program. So today, Uncle Charlie has been featured, and again, he sounds as good as always. I mentioned earlier, in case you weren't tuned in, if you have not seen his NPR Tiny Desk appearance, you got to check that out. It's one of the best I've ever seen. So we celebrate Charlie Wilson today and his iconic music on the soundtrack of our lives. In this hour, as promised, I'm going to introduce you to the host of 2 news shows coming to KBLA Talk 1580. As we begin year 3, we are pleased and thrilled that a recent independent research survey this week, in fact, finds that this station remains the most trusted, credible, and reliable media source in Southern California for Black listeners and beyond for the 2nd consecutive year. We take that seriously, being trusted, being credible, and being reliable, and to have a survey of almost 200 radio stations in this city alone that we are in competition with, as it were, every day, to be regarded as the most trusted, the most credible, and the most reliable for Black listeners and beyond means a great deal to us. We take it seriously. To have received that honor for 2 consecutive years means even more to us. And so you should know that when you listen to our host, you can trust and believe what we have to say. And so we are, with that good news, ready to kick into gear the 3rd campaign of this station. So yesterday was the first day of year 3, and we are off and running. So in this hour, I'm going to introduce you to some new hosts who are joining our lineup. You met Tyrone Howard yesterday with this fine program, You Must Learn, Saturdays at 10 a.m. You met Jill Monroe yesterday, the host of RSVP with Jill Monroe. Her show premiered last night at 9 p.m. So she's on weeknights, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. On the back side of this hour, for you foodies, we finally got a food show. People have been stopping me everywhere I go. When you're going to get a food show? We got a food show. And so you're going to meet Karen and Ernest, the host of that program called Food for Thought, on the back side of this hour. But it's my great delight to introduce John Wood Jr., and his fine program, The Reconstruction Project. Now, John Wood Jr. is a voice you probably heard on occasion on Dominique DePrima's program in the morning, First Things First. By the way, Dominique is in South Africa right now. So this week and next week, she's broadcasting live every morning from South Africa. It sounds awfully good. I was teasing yesterday. Her phone line from South Africa sounds better than some of the phone calls I take here in the States. But Dominique, all this week and next week, live from South Africa. Just really, really good stuff that Dominique is bringing us every day, so check her out. But John Wood Jr., I've known for some time, and Dominique has known him. He's been a guest on her program, more so than mine. But I wanted to add him to the lineup. Let me tell you why. This may surprise you. I believe that this station at its best is about challenging folk to re-examine the assumptions they hold, helping folk to expand their inventory of ideas. As you well know, on my program, I am never afraid to engage with people who I don't agree with on everything. And I think there's value in having people on who see the world through a different prism, through a different lens. John Wood Jr. and I don't see the world through the same lens on every single thing, but our conversations are always organic, they're always dynamic, and they always push me. They push me to come up with better arguments, better responses, better retorts. They make me rethink, re-examine my own assumptions politically. And so I am pleased to welcome into the studio, and more importantly, that is, to our lineup, John Wood Jr. My friend, how are you, sir?
Tavis, I'm doing very well indeed. And it is a pleasure and a privilege and an honor not just to be here with you, but to be a part of the KBLA family. I couldn't be more excited about it.
We are excited as well. So John's program called The Reconstruction Project will commence this Sunday, June 25th at 9 a.m. So every Sunday, just after Dr. Sunshine, she's on 8 to 9 Pacific time. He comes on at 9 a.m. until 10 Pacific time, and then Nee Quarter, of course, with our Sunday Public Affairs program. A More Perfect Union is on 10 until 12. So John is right between Shalonda and Nee Quarter at 9 a.m. every Sunday, starting this Sunday. Tell me about, as you conceive it, the Reconstruction Project.
Yeah, happy to do so. Well, really, it comes down to this, Tavis. I mean, this is going to be a program where we talk about politics, where we talk about history, where I'm bringing in folks who are leading voices, predominantly in the community, in the Black community and so forth, to offer a range of perspectives on issues that listeners will be interested and concerned in. But the through line, the thread that's going to link think each of these conversations is just sort of leaning into the lived experience, into the personal experience of the folks that I'm talking to sort of elevate the fact that, as we hear people say, but sometimes we don't ponder or dwell on enough, Black is not a monolith, and it really isn't, right? There is a geography to the Black experience that sometimes is obfuscated by the simplicity of that term, by the simplicity of the phrase, right? And so, you know, you've got a wide range of folks who arrive at different ideological perspectives, but a lot of times it has to do with the fact that they came from a certain class background, that they came from maybe a predominantly Black community versus a more assimilated Black community, that they came from a religious background that might surprise you, right? That they came from sort of a life experience or an intersectionality that you might recognize as a listener to this program or somebody who's in the community, but who you might also stop and think, well, hey, you know, wait a second, you know, how on earth did that brother become a Mormon, right? Right? And so, no, I mean that's our point, because I just reached out to a man who's a leading figure in the LDS church. He's a Black man. I had no idea until they put him up on my screen. And so, look, but here's the thing: when we get a better and a fuller picture of the Black community, we get a fuller picture of ourselves, right, as individuals. But we can't do that, kind of to your earlier point, Tavis, unless we're talking across sort of the divides in our experience as well as the divides in our perspective, right? Because even perhaps, especially if we're different, we have a lot to contribute to one another and, again, to our understanding of the community and of ourselves as individuals. So that's what the Reconstruction Project is really about.
John is right. We are not a monolith. And I believe that we have to have robust conversations about all kinds of issues. And as I say all the time, I am much more concerned in good ideas than ideology. And so because your political ideology may be different than mine, if you got a good idea, bring it to the table. I'm happy to debate it, happy to discuss it. But I want this station, although we are proudly, unapologetically progressive, I want us to be exposed to a range of ideas. And I think that John Wood Jr. will do that every Sunday morning, starting this Sunday, June 25th at 9 a.m. More with John Wood Jr. and more about the Reconstruction Project when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. Good thing we've got 3 hours. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Did you know that all City of LA renters have rights? Check out these 3 facts. Residential tenants can't be evicted without reason or just cause. Eviction protection still exists for unpaid COVID-19 rental debt due before March 31st, 2023. And you have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice. 5 days. Many Angelinos may be at risk of losing their home, and that's why we want you to know your rights. Learn more at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home. Hey LA, keep your utility bills low this summer while making your home the cool place to be. LADWP can help you save hundreds with air conditioner and thermostat rebates, plus free energy efficient home upgrades and simple tips to help you beat the heat and save money. Visit ladwp.com/cool-LA.
At Lowe's, we're always bringing pros more ways to save. Right now, buy a Flex stackable tool storage system for just $249. That's $50 in total savings. Plus, earn up to 2 times the bonus points per dollar when you buy select Flex tools. Shop in-store or online for deals you can't beat. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Valid 6/8 to 6/21. While supplies last. U.S. only. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid through 6/30. Subject to change.
If car designers can make cars look like anything, why are there so many boring cars? Why not a car that looks like an ancient sword? Or the future? The sky isn't even the limit at Nissan. Why be boring when you can make a katana blade slice through traffic? That's the Nissan Z. Or something from the future whizzing by. And that's the Aria. Nissan. Redesign for thrill. 2023 Aria has limited availability. See dealer for financing details.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Hey.
searching for. You a perfect package. Wanna make you my more. It's been haunting me. Hanging out with all these other girls, but it ain't my thing. I'm gonna keep it real. Girl, I know that you belong with me. Hey, love the way you work. Chemistry is perfect. Let's talk it over, baby. So you can tell me what you like. Hey, lover, feeling one another. Let's go undercover and break each other off. A little bit of love tonight.
It's hard to fade. It's impossible, in fact, to fade Charlie Wilson. He's just... I can't think of anybody who I am as impressed with their body of work when you consider all the hits that came from the Gap Band and then consider all his solo hits. But more important than all of that, consider all the years that Charlie was a drug addict and all that he did that could have, in fact, destroyed his instrument. And you listen to him, how good he sounds. His upper register as a singer is still there. And that gets lost when you don't do drugs as you get older. But his upper register is still there. He's still killing it. As I said earlier, that Tiny Desk thing where he really does a stripped down performance is quite amazing to see. But I love Charlie Wilson and all that he's done. And as you'll see on the Tiny Desk performance, or for that matter, if you've ever seen Charlie in concert, he reminds me of Aretha, the Queen of Soul, who I miss and love dearly. Them two black folk are not afraid to just go to church in the middle of the show. They would just pivot. And Charlie, whether you want to hear it or not, is going to give you his testimony, how God delivered him and got him off of drugs. He's going to have some church. And I'm always appreciative and tickled by the fact that he goes into a white environment like NPR on the Tiny Desk and still had church. And the white folk were just all into it. And so I just love that you don't shy away from your faith and from your testimony and from your story. And Charlie Wilson has one. And so we celebrate again today the musical legacy, the rich musical legacy ongoing of one Charlie Wilson. Back to our guest in this half hour, John Wood Jr., the host of The Reconstruction Project, a brand new show coming to KBLA Talk 1580 this weekend, Sunday, June 25th at 9 a.m. and thereafter every Sunday at 9 a.m. So John Wood Jr., tell me, obviously there must be a John Wood Sr. somewhere. So tell me about John Wood Jr., your backstory, and I want to get into how you developed the political ideology that you have, however you define that. But tell me about your backstory.
Yeah, absolutely, Tavis. Well, yeah, no, I appreciate the question. There is indeed a John Wood Sr. And I can't really do justice to the John Wood Jr. story without talking about my parents. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's funny. So you're talking about Charlie Wilson, the Gap Band, and all that incredible music. My story really starts in music, fundamentally, right? And, my father, John Wood Sr., is a jazz pianist, white man, who played and recorded with some of the greats, Joe Henderson, Woody Shaw, trumpet player, Billy Higgins, famous drummer, founder of the World Stage, just right here in the Merck Park. My mother's an R&B singer. You'll hear her stuff playing on KGLH and on the radio in L.A. for years. She danced on Soul Train, back in the early 80s, I guess late 70s, actually.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. No, one of my uncles is Mac 10 from the West Side Connection, my cousin's father, which is, Ice Cube's group after he left NWA. But my grandfather on my father's side, a man named Randy Wood, started the first radio show in the country to broadcast rhythm and blues and gospel music to a national audience. You may be familiar with this, Tavis. It was sponsored by a mail order record shop of the same name called the Randy's Record Shop. And so, and of course, again, Randy Wood, Grandpa was a white man, but in his love for black music, he raised a son in my father who really defined the greatness of American popular culture, largely according to the greatness of black culture in particular, right? And so my dad was very much into black music, very much into jazz in particular, but also was deeply into boxing and baseball. His heroes in life growing up were Willie Mays, Muhammad Ali, and Bill Evans, the jazz pianist, white jazz pianist.
That's a trifecta for you right there,
That's
man.
a trifecta right there. So, my dad sort of raised me with this kind of vision of black culture that made it front and center in terms of the greatness of American culture. For me, it was like he would paint a picture of American life and say, hey, you've got George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, and you got Joe Louis and you got Duke Ellington, all these folks. This is the pantheon of American greatness. You don't have it, in other words, without black popular culture, without black music, without black athleticism, etc. But it's funny because, of course, he's coming from outside of the community. So on the one hand, I've got my mother's side of the family, which is from L.A., although if you go back some generations, we're from Little Rock, Arkansas, and so forth, and like most black folks in L.A. came from the South, some generations ago. On the other hand, I have my father, who's more conservative, from Tennessee originally, right? Southern white family, but immersed himself in sort of, black community and whatnot. So I have that background growing up, and yet there's still very distinct differences between my mother's side of the family, my father's side of the family, as you might imagine.
Sure.
Right. And so as I went on in life, politics was an early passion of mine. Considered myself very much to be sort of a liberal activist. I gave my first political speech opposing the Iraq War at the Culver City City Council meeting, where we passed a resolution opposing that war. Found myself really dejected and sort of cynical about politics when George W. Bush got reelected. But when Barack Obama came along, I saw in Obama somebody who really channeled both a lot of the values and virtues that I believed in, but also a lot of the life experiences that I could relate to, just given the nature of his
black,
family.
half white,
Yeah, all of that. But within that, Obama seemed to, sort of have this desire to kind of bridge the divide in all these directions, including politically and also racially. And I felt that very much in my own life.
Republicans didn't see it that way, though.
Republicans didn't particularly see it that way. I mean, a lot of Democrats didn't see it that way either, but Obama brought an idealism that I resonated with. And so what happened at the time was, I sort of dedicated myself to wanting to bring Republicans and conservatives sort of into the Obama movement. And so a lot of things happened at the same time. I met a woman from a traditional Black Baptist family in the Jordan Downs Projects in Watts. She became my wife. I experienced sort of a religious conversion. So culturally, I became a bit more traditional. She joined the military. We moved to a military town, Fort Carson, Colorado Springs, Colorado. That made me a little bit more traditional. I was reading books I'd never read before, Wealth of Nations, Atlas Shrugged. I was listening a lot to you and Larry Elder, and Larry said a lot of things that made some sense to me. I just looked up one day, Tavis, and I went down a list of about 100 or so issues while I'm on this expedition in life, part of which was oriented around sort of bringing Republicans into sort of the Obama fold. And I looked up and I realized that, holy cow, out of 100 issues, I'm kind of right of center now in about 62 or 65 of them. And I really did draw out a list. I mean, you know me, I can get into the particulars.
Very didactic, yeah.
Yet and still, Tavis, the thing that remained consistent with me was I really didn't like the way that Republicans and Tea Party was treating the president. I didn't like the tonality of our political conversation in general. And I still very much believed in what I understood to be hope and change, sort of something that echoed forward with the idealism of Dr. King and the beloved community. I believed in that. And so when I came back to LA, I thought, I just want to be a voice for something that's positive, something that's unifying, something that can speak to the humanity in black and white, left and right, without glossing over the complexity and the disagreements between people. But how can I do that? So I decided to run for Congress with no resume, no money. I was the youngest nominee in the state of California in that election cycle, youngest active nominee. Ran against Maxine Waters, friend of yours.
I was about to say, the person you ran against has not forgiven you for that as yet, but go ahead.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I got all the respect in the world for Congresswoman Waters. Look, I tell people, I ran against Maxine Waters just because she happened to represent my district. But truth be told, I was running to give voice to something positive. I was never really running, against Maxine, per se. And so it was just a way for me to sort of enter into the conversation in a way that I hope could be a continuation of the inspiration that Barack Obama brought to so much of American political life in his candidacy, albeit from the other side of the aisle, which I thought made it more valuable in some real sense, And so following that, I tried to bring that sort of fraternal spirit to institutional politics on a party level. I tried to bring sort of a more congenial way of doing politics to the GOP on an institutional level. I was vice chairman of the Republican Party, in Los Angeles County, the largest Republican Party in America. Don't matter because it's about a quarter of the size of the Democratic Party out here, so we don't win much. But I held that office and almost got run out of town, not for being too friendly with Democrats. I didn't get that far, but for being too friendly with the wrong Republicans. That's his own story. This was during the Ron Paul thing, and he's at war with the rest of the party. And then Trump came along, and that was kind of it. That was kind of it for me. So I'm still a registered Republican. Today, I help lead an organization called Braver Angels. It's America's largest grassroots bipartisan organization dedicated to depolarization. But what that really means is just creating the space for us to be able to empathize with each other across the political divide. And so my message has never really changed, Tavis. I'm about humanizing people, but I do believe that we cannot achieve our potential as a country unless the black community is fully humanized within itself towards each other. And so to the extent to which there are divides between us as a people, Tavis, I want to cross them.
Yeah. I'm looking at my clock here, and you do this. You will be doing it every week, so you better learn how to see this clock as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm watching it. I got 4 minutes left. Let me ask you, and I'm glad I asked that question so the audience has a better understanding of your backstory, a better understanding of the work that you're doing now through Braver Angels, this bipartisan group. I'm speaking with you at your convention in Gettysburg.
That's correct.
Later this summer, so I'm excited to travel back east to join you and some others to discuss some of these issues as I see it, at least. But very quickly here, what is your read of the GOP today, right now, real time?
Yeah, right. Well, I think that the Republican Party has become a party deeply enthralled to the personality of one man, Donald Trump. And I hate to put it so simply. I mean, there's always a more complex backstory to everything. I think that so much of polarization in America, we could talk about it in partisan terms, we could talk about it in racial terms. I think a lot of it is still geographical. I think a lot of it is still sort of the South versus everybody else. There's sort of a way in which, a lot of white folks in the South, poor white folks, on the one hand, you can say that there's inherited attitudes towards other groups of people that may or may not be problematic, but a lot of it comes down to class. A lot of it comes down to the folks, to the fact that, many folks feel isolated from mainstream culture in American society. And so somebody like Trump comes along and says, I love you, I'm your champion. Mitt Romney doesn't represent you. John McCain doesn't represent you. Barack Obama damn sure doesn't represent you. But I'm here and I feel just as aggrieved as you do against the people who sort of are the mainstream authorities in our society. Well, people rally to that, right? And so, when Dr. King died, he died in the process of trying to create relationships between poor white folks and African Americans who were being persecuted in economic terms, at least, by the status quo of American political society. That's another project I don't want to abandon, Tavis, because as long as we have these deep divisions between us geographically and class-wise, it's easier to exploit the racial differences as well for the purposes of bringing power to demagogues. And I don't want to see that continue to happen.
Let me offer this as the exit question, whether or not you believe in this moment in late modernity that the demos, the American people writ large, are you interested in having any kind of conversation that bridges divides, that bridges gaps?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. It's always a minority of people who are willing to really sort of lean into the idea that the people who represent the things that they hate may nevertheless possess a humanity that they can love, right? But I think that the power of even a small percentage of people who are willing to lean into that is capable of fundamentally transforming the larger culture and spirit of the whole. Right. So it wasn't but a small number of folks who were on the front lines of the nonviolent movement, giving forth a spirit of protest that didn't just advocate for a political policy outcome, but transformed the conscience, the very conscience of American society, at least to a fundamental way. But you didn't need that many. You didn't need 51% to do that. Right. And so we can do a lot with a little in terms of bringing folks into a movement to transform the heart of the country.
I do not see John Wood Jr. as a provocateur, but I can assure you his program will be provocative. I'm always fascinated when I speak with him, and we've had a number of conversations over the years. And when we get into it, it's a beautiful thing. And maybe one day I'll appear in your Sunday morning program, and we can go at it. His name is John Wood Jr. The program is called The Reconstruction Project. It premieres this Sunday, June 25th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And every Sunday thereafter at 9 a.m., just before Ni Quarterly Quartet on A More Perfect Union, just after Dr. Sunshine with her fine program at 8 a.m. So, John Wood Jr., welcome to KBLA. I'm excited about you being here. I look forward to you pushing us and pulling us and making us think and debate and argue and have a robust dialogue about the things that matter in our lives. Thank you for coming in today. I'll see you this Sunday.
There we go, sir.
The Reconstruction Project with John Wood Jr. this Sunday, 9 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Good morning, everyone. everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Congress is hearing testimony from the former special counsel who released a report criticizing the FBI's investigation into alleged ties between the Trump campaign and Russia. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan said John Durham's probe found the Justice Department should have never opened the investigation. In Michigan, a trial is beginning for a woman charged in connection to a 7-year-old bringing a gun into a Grand Rapids public school. Last month, a student brought a gun that belongs to his mom's fiance, Chelsea Berkeley, to Cesar Chavez Elementary. The boy's mother, African-American Aubrey Wilson, is facing 4th-degree child abuse, and Berkeley is facing a felony firearm charge, which carries a 5-year sentence if convicted. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
In Glendale, an injury accident working now on the 134 West at San Fernando Road. Traffic is heavy there from the Glendale Freeway. You have a work zone on the 101 northbound at Laurel Canyon with the right lane closed. Traffic's heavy there approaching from Hollywood Way. Heavy traffic on the 405 southbound drive starting at Burbank Boulevard stays slow down to Getty Center, and 405 north is slow from the 105 to the 10.
Nearly 3,000 teen drivers die in car crashes each year. Tire Rack Street Survival is designed to save lives. The one-day hands-on driving school gives teens experience in car control through exercises that include emergency braking and skid recovery. Find a class near you at TireRack.com/survive.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers get 7 shutout innings from Clayton Kershaw to beat the Angels in Anaheim. First shutout win for the Dodgers since June 10th in Philadelphia. LeBron's younger son, Bryce, is transferring from Sierra Canyon High School to Campbell Hall in Studio City. The 16-year-old Bryce will be a junior in the fall. He's 6'6" and already showing star potential. LeBron's oldest son, Bronny, will be a freshman at USC in the fall. Here's something from the downright delusional department. People close to Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant told an NBA writer that the NBA and the media are out to get Morant. Morant was given a 25-game suspension at the start of next season for conduct detrimental to the league, including flashing a handgun in 2 social media videos. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Sprinklers in the Rain and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here with a quick recap from my time at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. There were speakers Ian Dunlap, Damon John, Lynn Richardson, MC Light, Don Kennedy, to name a few. Take a listen to what Justin Grant, Community Development Lead at Chase's Advancing Black Pathway, let's see what he had to say.
So I'm Justin Grant. I lead community development and national partnerships for JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Pathway strategy. And so we're focused on strengthening the economic foundation of black communities, and we're making targeted investments in programs like the Advancing Black Wealth Tour to help us get our tools and resources out to the community to drive sustained impact over time.
So when it comes to black and brown people, it sounds like Chase is making it their personal responsibility not only to facilitate these events, but to educate and provide resources. So, Mr. Grant, I have to ask, what does wealth building look like for the individual?
It's home ownership. It's having that freedom to be able to start your own business and create jobs in your community. And it's having that long-term plan towards retirement, having that vision for what you want your life to be, and you have the resources to actually live it.
I'm Aisha Cairo. Thanks for sticking around. That was my recap from Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. First stop was here in LA, and they're taking it national.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth.
Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
Okay, it's impossible to have just one favorite Charlie Wilson song, but if I had to pick one, this is it for me. I mean, the Gap Band killed this thing. I mean, it's amazing. Anyway, we've been playing Charlie Wilson all day today because June is Black Music Month, and every day we pick a featured artist whose music we play all 3 hours of our program, and we didn't even scratch the surface today of Charlie's hits, but hopefully you've enjoyed hearing some Charlie Wilson for the 3 hours of this program. We close today, as promised, with another one of our new hosts at KBLA Talk 1580 that we want to bring to your attention. And in this instance, it's hosts with an S at the end, plural, right? It's hard for me to say that. Hosts. Their names are Karen and Ernest. Her full name is Karen Lewis. His full name is Ernest Skinner. Karen is in studio. Hello, Karen Lewis. How are you today?
Hi. How are you?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. It's nice to see you. Ernest Skinner's on the phone today. Ernest, how are you, sir?
I am doing amazing. How are you?
I'm great, man. Glad to have you both here to talk about food for thought. I was saying earlier, Karen, that I've had so many people over the last 2 years, and you and Ernest were at our anniversary party this week. So thank you for coming to that. But over the 2 years, people stop me everywhere I go or call me or email me with all kinds of ideas about shows. And I've been looking for literally 2 years now, trying to find the right food show. Here come Karen and Ernest, and I think I got the right one. Remember that Ray Charles commercial? You got the right one, baby. She said, "Think." No, okay, I know I got the right one. The program is called Food for Thought, and I will let you, Karen, share with the audience what they're going to hear when they tune in this Saturday at 8 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Sundays. But Saturdays and Sunday evenings, you can hear this program, Food for Thought, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. So tell me about Food for Thought, Ms. Lewis.
So Food for Thought was born out of both Ernest and I being foodies, and I'll speak for myself. I also can be a little greedy, love food. And so we were dining out one day, and Ernest was using like all these adjectives about the food, like sounding like a food critic. And I was like, man, we should do a food show. And he was like, I'm with it. And then procrastination kicked in, and then I put it together on a piece of paper, and you went for it, and it's all good. So timing is everything.
That does not sound very creative. Doesn't sound like much thought or went into this. Ernest, what would you like to add to that, sir?
Well, I mean, that's definitely how the conversation started. But what we're looking to do is we're looking to elevate the conversations around food. We're looking to talk about dining while black and how we are treated at restaurants, but also with the things that we should be looking for and doing when we go out to restaurants. So we're like Karen said, we both love to go out and eat, and we really want to just elevate the conversation around food.
To your point about black folk and the dining experience, unpack that for me. I'll let Karen go second, but Ernest, unpack for me first what runs through your mind when you think about black folk and our dining out experiences.
Yeah, well, so food is here in the States is very transactional. When you travel and you go around the country and around the world, food is more time for people to commune. It's more time for people to come together. It's more time for them to share and really enjoy that process. Now, on the dining while black part of this, it is one of the things that, they say that we as black folks don't tip. They say that
they say they say
they anticipate.
Well, just so you know, Karen and I overtip because in the event some people don't tip, we want to make sure we cover it, and we don't want them talking about us and having us look crazy in these streets. But it's also about look, we on our show we're going to be talking about dining and dating, and and guys, if you're going to step up because what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to be able to have a good time and how to order on the menu, how to make sure that you're not looking crazy when you're out eating, because we want you to look like a rock star when you're taking someone of Karen's caliber to a fancy restaurant. We want to make sure that you know how to do it properly.
And what about how to pronounce the word salmon correctly?
Oh my Lord.
Oh,
Karen?
Oh Lord, please don't.
No, like I have a cousin, she does it on purpose, I think now, because she'll say, "Are we going to have some salmon?" And I'll be like, "You mean salmon?" And she'll be like, "Yeah, salmon." And so now I think she's just doing it on purpose. Like I cringe when that happens. Yeah. But to Ernest's point, like literally, I think I shared this in front of you, Tavis, one day. In terms of tipping and dating, like I literally recently went back to the table to see if the gentleman I was on a date with took care of the people who were serving us, and he hadn't, but they wouldn't take my money. So it's just like a pet peeve of mine. I feel like if people are serving us, like it's also a spiritual thing. If people are serving us, they should, it warrants a good tip. And so I think it's more like Ernest said, the show is more about food or less about food and more about the art of dining and like being communal and loving on people while you're doing it and having like stellar conversations and being able to taste some wine or a mocktail if you don't drink. Like just like Ernest said, taking your time to enjoy yourself and have an experience with people around you.
A couple of things right quick. Number one, I'm curious, did that brother get a second date? She's quiet. Okay. That was a very, very pregnant pause. I'll leave that alone. My second thing is, I think I told you this. The best advice I'd ever heard on tipping, I literally just heard in the last 6 months of my life. Les Brown, the great motivator, taught a master class here in February. He was our first artist in residence, if you will, for the entire month of February. He had a program here every day. People loved it. And one of the things he talked about one day, it sort of came out of the blue. It wasn't really what he was talking about. But he made the point that he learned many, many years ago to tip the minute he sits down. He doesn't wait until the end to offer his tip. He said, I give him a tip up front. And you'd be amazed at the quality of your service by tipping when you sit down. Now, depending on what you eat, if the bill requires an additional tip at the end, you do that. But he said, you'd be amazed how well you'll be treated when you put some money in their hand the minute you sit down. Makes sense to you?
I do that with bartenders.
Yeah.
I tip them on the first drink, and then I find myself either getting free drinks or more drinks or stronger drinks or drinks for friends.
There you go. So Ernest, what about? I'm getting a better sense, and the audience is getting a better sense of what this show, Food for Thought, will be about, premiering this Saturday, June 24th at 8 p.m. I assume, though, given that you and Karen go everywhere and know everybody and taste all kinds of different foods, there'll be recommendations, there'll be conversations about restaurants, etc., restaurants and chefs and the like.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. The whole dining experience will be covered here, and you're entirely right. We're going to be having conversations with chefs to kind of get their insight in terms of what we as consumers don't know about the dining experience. We're going to be talking with people. We will be doing reviews of restaurants, and we will be able to kind of talk through giving tips and dining etiquette that some people may not know about. Like, one of the key things that Karen and I eat a lot. And one of the things, we go to some fancy restaurants, and sometimes it's hard to be able to get reservations, but she and I are masters of just sitting at the bar, and by doing that, you're able to, have a one-on-one conversation with the bartender. You're able to kind of be able to commune with the people who are sitting next to you, and it's the same experience without the shishi-foo-foo of it. So, yeah, we'll be doing all of that.
Okay. When we come forward, I want to give both Karen and Ernest the opportunity to share with us more about their relationship to food over the years. They're obviously foodies, but I'm curious as to how they fell in love with food. We'll get Karen's take on that, Ernest's take on that. You're listening to Karen and Ernest, who are the co-hosts of a brand new program called Food for Thought, premiering this Saturday, June 24th at 8 p.m., exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Be sure to like and follow Tavis Smiley at The Real Tavis Smiley and get Twitter updates at Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues when we come forward. We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice, and injustice. The courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Watering Your Lawn During the Hottest Time of the Day and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
If your Medi-Cal is ending, Cover California is here to help. Cover California is a service from the state that helps you get affordable health insurance. In many cases, at no cost to you, just like with Medi-Cal. We have quality health plans and will help you every step of the way to get the one that works for you and your family. So, if you're no longer eligible for Medi-Cal, check out Cover California. We'll keep you covered. Learn more at coveredca.com.
Hey LA, I'm Pastor Xavier Thompson inviting you to join us for a special night of compassion and community rally for Dr. Mark Ridley Thomas at the Southern Missionary Baptist Church, 4678 West Adams Boulevard in the city of Los Angeles, Friday, June the 23rd, 7 p.m. This will be a time for the community to undergird Dr. Mark Ridley Thomas and his family as we approach the upcoming court hearing, which will determine whether or not he gets a new trial. We are urging all constituents, supporters, partners, friends, and well-wishers, those who seek justice for this courageous champion of our community, to join us. Friday, June the 23rd, 7 o'clock p.m., the Southern Missionary Baptist Church, 4678 West Adams Boulevard. Let's encourage Dr. Mark Ridley Thomas with our presence, participation, and our prayers. See you there.
Conversations that matter. You're listening to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, Karen, you first. What is Karen Lewis's relationship to food? How did you become a foodie?
On only child, latchkey child. My parents took me around when I was young and took me to, local restaurants, and we would go to Santa Barbara and San Diego, and, eating was always a part of our little threesome. My mother was very much the person that said, you got to eat everything on your plate, and I was just like, that probably wasn't the best thing to tell me, but okay, ma'am. And then I started spending summers with my paternal grandmother, who cooked very fresh and cooked like 2 to 3 times a day. Rabbit, the best pork roast I've ever had in my life, fresh vegetables, all of that. And so I don't know, I just like almost subconsciously just fell into it, and literally would go to like a brunch, one of those brunches that's kind of like a buffet, and would watch the chefs make certain things, and like at 8, 9, 10 would go home and try to cook it myself. So I was really good at making French fries, and then I got really good at making omelets because I would watch the omelet bar. And then, go off to college, whatever. My first real dining experience was in the Bay because I went to Berkeley, and one of my friends was a little more advanced than me in terms of her palate, and also she was a good cook. And so we had this whole dinner at this restaurant in like North Italy or Little Italy in San Francisco. And she was just like, okay, we have the drink, and then we have the appetizer, and then we have the course, and then we have coffee and dessert. And I was just like, oh, like this is a thing? Like, this is fun. And I like you, and we're talking and we're catching up, and I don't even drink coffee, but I'm going to have it just because it seems to make sense. And I think that experience stuck with me and just made me think like, oh, okay, this restaurant is great. What else is near here? What's across the bay? Okay, let me start looking into that. And so that's kind of really where my relationship with dining was born. Shout out to Danielle Smith, music journalist, best-selling author. That was my comrade at the time. So
wow,
yeah,
that's who you were talking about.
Yeah, Danielle Smith.
You had some highfalutin friends back then.
Go Bears.
Yeah. Cal Bears. When we come forward, our remaining moments with Karen and Ernest, we'll hear Ernest's relationship and how he developed that with food, how he became a foodie. They are, once again, the host of a brand new program premiering this Saturday, June 24th at 8 p.m. and thereafter every Saturday at 8 p.m. It's called Food for Thought, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you faced discrimination in Los Angeles? The City of LA Civil Rights Department can help. They investigate private sector discrimination in LA City in commerce, education, employment, and housing. If you're facing discrimination, submit a complaint online for free at laisforeveryone.com. That's laisforeveryone.com, or call 213-978-1845.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
If your Medi-Cal is ending, Cover California is here to help. Cover California is a service from the state that helps you get affordable health insurance. In many cases, at no cost to you, just like with Medi-Cal. We have quality health plans, and we'll help you every step of the way to get the one that works for you and your family. So, if you're no longer eligible for Medi-Cal, check out Cover California. We'll keep you covered. Learn more at coveredca.com.
I mean, if you like crisp nacho fries covered in bold Mexican spices, then you have to try Steak Chili Verde fries. They're like nacho fries, but with grilled steak topped with spicy Verde sauce with kicks of jalapeno and lime. They're basically the younger brother of nacho fries, who's better looking, smarter, makes more money. But nacho fries has like 53 more followers, so it evens out. Steak Chili Verde fries are here. Get them today, only at Taco Bell.
At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation which vary.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter. Locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Interrogating your assumptions and expanding your inventory of ideas. Let's get back to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, Ernest, your chance. Tell me about your relationship with food over the years.
You know, it started with my parents. My mom is from Jamaica. My dad is from Trinidad. So even at a young age, our dining experience was a little bit different than my friends, because we would have roti and we would have ackee and saltfish and we would have all of these things that most of my friends weren't exposed to. So our Thanksgiving and our New Year celebrations were always different. And we lived overseas when I was younger. We lived in Greece. We lived in England. We lived a lot of other places. And then when we came back to the States, we were staying at a hotel in Manhattan. And every morning, my dad would send my sister and I down to the restaurant at the hotel. And we would order, we would navigate the menu, and we would kind of do that. And so by the time my parents came downstairs, everybody was like, "Oh my God, your kids are so well behaved, and they know how to read a menu." And we're looking at them like, of course, like I'm Ernest Skinner and I'm my father's son. So but that's how it all started. It started when we came back. So I had been exposed to different foods and different cuisines around the world. My parents just kind of gave me a different kind of path as it applies to food. And, it's something that ended up just being part of my story. And, and one thing, for me in being in the business, one thing that I found is that, dining is, I said earlier that it's transactional. I was just talking about the art, just scarfing food down. But a lot of, as Karen was saying, a lot of kind of the development of it is really being able to, talk and commune and be able to have, talk business, but being able to do it in a something that's not an office setting. So, but that's how it started with me. It started being exposed to different cuisines at different points in a relatively early age.
Let me ask you right quick. I'm watching my timer. You got about 3 minutes left. How annoyed, given your palate, your expansive palate, and your worldview, and having lived and traveled around the world, even as a young person, a young black person, no less. How annoyed do you get when you hear black people who don't want to try certain things? Like, I don't eat that. I don't eat that. I don't want that. What is that? How annoying is that for you?
Well, look, it's very annoying, but that's really what this show is about. The show is about helping people level up, having people take a different look at food. We're going to approach it from an international standpoint. We're going to approach it from a Michelin star rated restaurant point of view, but it is very annoying. But what we, Karen and I, want to do is be able to elevate that conversation and help people level up as it comes to food. So, so that they're not the person that is going into these restaurants and being looked at, quote unquote, less than. We want everybody to be able to be on the same playing field as it comes to food.
Karen, I was saying 2 minutes ago, I was saying to you earlier in the commercial break that a restaurant that I love and you love, and for that matter, Ernest loves, just made the Michelin list here in L.A. And so now I know I can't get in again. I thought it was the best kept secret in L.A. And now it's on the Michelin list, and everybody knows about it. So I don't know if I'll ever get in again.
This is why I have red hair. So people could be like, "Oh, you mean the black girl with the red hair?" Yep, that's me. I've been coming since he was downtown L.A. with a couple of skillets and 4 pastas.
Yeah, we should mention the restaurant now. So we
Barcento. Adams.
Yeah.
Go there.
If you can get in, it's some of the best pasta I've ever had.
OMG.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazeballs. And he does meat really well, too.
Yeah, when I saw that Michelin list, I said, oh, Lord, the secret's out, and there you have it. Anyway, her name is Karen Lewis. His name is Ernest and Skinner. You will get to know them on this station as Karen and Ernest. The co-host of Food for Thought. It premieres again this Saturday night, June 24th at 8 p.m., with a repeat on Sunday nights. As a matter of fact, on Saturday and Sundays, we have now a 4 or 5 hour entertainment block. So you'll notice, if you go to our app, go to our website, you'll see that we've adjusted our lineup for Saturday and Sunday evenings to give you just pure entertainment. So there's food, there's music, the Jazz Urbane show with Bill Banfield, and some other great fare. But Saturday and Sunday evening starting this weekend. We have a 4 or 5 hour entertainment block every Saturday and Sunday night. So I think you'll be pleased with that. And again, part of that block will feature Food for Thought with Karen and Ernest, who I've been delighted to have had on this program for the hour. Ernest, well, I should say to the audience, the good news is that going forward, Ernest will actually be in studio, not on the cell phone. So he will sound much clearer and much better. Although we heard him quite clear today. But just wanted to mention thanks to Ernest for dialing in from wherever he is. And Ernest, we will see you in studio this weekend. Have a great rest of the day, Ernest Skinner. I appreciate you, sir.
It's so good to talk to you, Tavis.
Thank you, my friend. And Karen Lewis, always great to see you and your flaming red hair.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, speaking of bye, bye's about right. That's our show for today. Thanks for tuning in. Time now for the KBLA Midday Money Chain. Up next, the Millionaires Roundtable with Lynn Richardson, to be followed by Ahead of the Crypto Curve with Najee Roberts. Old money, new money. Either way, we got you covered here on KBLA Talk 1580. Until tomorrow morning, Lord willing, thanks for tuning in. And as always, keep the faith.
Riding clean, living dreams. Just left the barber and I'm feeling like Midas. Heard him say, give him praise. What's in the water got you acting like this? Ain't a day go by that I don't try to thank the Lord up above. And if you wonder why I'm loving life, come close and I tell you what's up. Ask me how I'm doing, I'm blessed. Yes, living every moment on regrets. Smile up on my face, I'm like, oh, yes, I'm blessed. Yes, I'm blessed. Come on, sing it. Ask me how I'm doing, I'm blessed. Yes, living every moment, no regrets. Smile up on my face, I'm like, oh, yes, I'm blessed. Everybody sing, oh, yeah.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The biggest medical association in the U.S. no longer wants health professionals to report pregnant women who abuse drugs. The American Medical Association now believes reporting will discourage pregnant women from getting help because they'll be afraid of going to jail or losing custody of their child. In Pennsylvania, a bill that would ban discrimination based on hairstyle has been reported out of committee in the State House. House Bill 1394